There you go.
Okay, thanks. I don't know why I always done that.
Yeah. All it is, you just have to click and it says, okay, click, got it.
Yeah, I got it.
No worries.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Sorry, I am running late straight from court. So I think we have a quorum and can go ahead and start. Yes, Julia can't be here today, but she just sent me a chat that we have a quorum. So I'm going to go ahead and start. First is approval of the minutes. I know Julia sent out the minutes to everyone. Did anyone have any additions or deletions on those?
Nope.
Okay,
Nope.
then we will approve them as submitted, and I will move on to our chairman's report. For financial for April, we spent $1,889.19. That was for personnel and benefits. And year to date, we have spent $19,868.66. We will report on the May financials at our next meeting. And the only other thing for the chairman's report is Julia is still working on our fiscal year 2023 budget. They've asked her to revise the budget a little bit to an amount that is closer to the amount for this year, which means an increase of $7,000. So she is working on that and just wanted to give everyone a heads up on that. Any questions on that? Okay, then I'm moving on to old business, youth and parents. Julia sent out the podcast example for the students from Illinois Math and Science Academy, and they are available to work on this through the summer. She did receive interest from Mike Doyen and a private attorney, Greg Walker, to do the podcast. And so those are the two people that have reached out so far. If anyone else is still interested, just reach out to Julia about that. And then we're following up. Julia presented last month 2 ideas with our youth and parents. One about bringing data to the established parent and youth groups to get their reactions or ideas. And the second was requesting a presentation from youth and or parents related to cultural humility and what they think stakeholders should be aware of when working with those involved in the juvenile justice system. Just following up on that to see if anyone had any further ideas about that, had time to think about it, any questions or concerns about that. Okay, everybody's still good on that. All right, so we'll continue to table that one. Moving on to law enforcement. So in regards to the juvenile justice game leader designation, we've received interest from 2 officers so far, and Julia is continuing to work with Kristen on that to see if we can get some more officers involved. And moving on to restorative practices. Julia met with Josh and confirmed that 2 of the trainers have left one of the districts. And Julia is coordinating trainings for the summer with West Aurora and also talking with Gail Borden Library about bringing restorative practices to the library's after school setting. And District 300 reports that they have all their administrators trained and are trying to get a trainer for each building at the expense of the district. So I know we had brought that up and we're questioning where our trainers were. So that is the information on that. If anyone has any questions about that.
No.
Okay, we can move on to expungements. So we've added that again to our old business. Julie and I have met with Judge Parga and talked to her about our expungement packet. There are some minor changes in regards to the law, basically just language changes that I need to make. But in talking to Judge Parga, she had some ideas of ways to make it even a little more clearer for our juveniles and their parents. So we are going to be working on that. We also had the idea of possibly presenting the packet to some youth, maybe even youth in the youth home, have them read it and get a feedback from them as to how well they understood it. You know, our goal is to make it reader friendly. So make it reader friendly to the juveniles. And so we are just thinking that maybe actually having a juvenile read it and see if they understood it, so we could see if there's other ways that we need to change it to make it better for our targeted audience. Any questions on that? Okay. So racial and ethnic disparities, the next meeting for that subcommittee is June 10th at 1 p.m. And then the statewide committee met this month and is trying to determine whether or not to take a statewide approach or to do individual jurisdictions or both. So there'll be more information to come on that. The domestic battery work group, we are still waiting for proposed revisions to the statute, and Julia is working with Jamie Mosser to get this confirmed before we schedule our next meeting for that work group. And then the next is the juvenile justice restructure. Just we had that on there again, just to see if anyone after our last meeting had any other thoughts or preferences in regards to that. Julie and I will continue to work on that, but any input is greatly appreciated. All good on that. All right, we're just cruising right along today. So the CPRD data presentation. So Julia checked in with them. They only have access to detention and transfer data. Adult transfer would include both discretionary and automatic. And if there is interest in additional data points, the presenter would have to be provided with this information in order to analyze it and present any trends. I don't know, I can't remember who had those issues, had the questions in regards to that last month, but I don't know if that's anybody on now that answers the questions.
I think that was brought up by Judge Parga. I mean,
Okay.
I think if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I meant to go back and look at our meeting notes from last month, so I would know exactly who that was, but I can check on that. But anybody here have any questions on that? Okay. So the proposed diversity, equity, and anti-racism series, Julia is waiting for the CV for that, and she so far has only received references. So she continues to work on that. And then the email vote for the family court guides, that was passed. And so the more copies have been made and are being distributed for that. Just as an aside on that, the attorneys in our office who work in abuse and neglect were thrilled with these family guides and thought that they were very well done. So I think that they are already having an impact, and they thought that they would be very helpful for their clients over there. And Deb's shaking her head too, so thumbs up for delinquency too.
Yeah, we have them at the bench and we've been giving them out. Today I actually gave some, I don't know if I was supposed to, but I did to the St. Charles youth group that came over, and there was only about 10 kids or so, but they liked them too, which explained the process and all. I mean, we have a ton of them over here. So they look good.
No, I think that's a great idea to give them out to other people that come too.
Yeah.
That was the idea, information. So
Thanks.
good. And then Julia redistributed the site visit report. Just checking to see if anybody had any thoughts or about the recommendations that they made in that site visit report.
I think most of them we expected. I mean, a lot of what they identified, we had already identified and, you know, have been working on or trying to figure out ways to address. So
I think, yeah, I mean, I thought that it was a good report, and, you know, that it seems that we are on track for the most part, doing what we're supposed to be doing. Okay, anything else on that? All right, then we do have a vote today. If I could have a motion to discuss that.
I'll move.
Okay.
And a second.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Deb. All right, so the vote is, does the board of directors approve partnering with West Aurora to host a two-part parent equity workshop without financial contribution? So this was put to the board last month in regards that they were requesting funding, and we did not pass that vote. Their question then was whether we would have an interest in supporting or partnering with them without providing funding. And basically what that means is that they would attach our group to any flyers that they send out. I don't know, but for the wake up call groups, I have gone and made an introduction on behalf of the Juvenile Justice Council. I don't know if that's what they would be requesting here, but that is something that we have done in the past. So that is why this is back on the agenda and asking for a second vote on it.
If I may, I felt a little, I don't know, I think I might have missed an email or something when we were discussing this the last meeting. What do we know, like what the parent equity, is it about equity within the school system? Can we just talk a little bit more about do we know more about the workshop itself?
Yeah, and I'm trying to, I can go back and see if
Oh, Julia, I don't know, is she here?
she is not here. I can go back and I know she sent something out on it. Let me see if I can find it, Latanya. So,
Or does anybody else recall? I mean, I would say that we would want to be supportive of that, because I mean, that goes with, you know, some of our goals and some of the things that we recognize are an issue, but I also don't want to do it blind either. Okay, I think I found it. The description of the workshop is raising children in a diverse society. This session will introduce parents, caregivers to the realities, complexities, and challenges of raising children in a diverse society. The session will include important roles that parents and caregivers play at various developmental stages in their children's lives. Okay.
did anybody else have questions on it or any discussion on it?
What is it going to cost us, and why do we normally get cost contribution from the organization?
So this was the vote that we took last month that did not pass to provide funding. So it will not, we will not be giving any money.
I understand what is it going to cost us to do this?
It will not, in terms of money,
Sure.
nothing.
Okay. And what will our participation be? Just in providing them with flyers, or?
So basically they will just, they will create their own flyers, and they may just attach our symbol, and it'll say something like in partnership with the Juvenile Justice Council. And then, as I said, sometimes, not particularly for this group, but for other things that we have done, they have asked that we come and do the introduction of the speaker.
Okay.
Based upon the information I have, it seems like this is something that as a Juvenile Justice Council, we would support. I mean, ultimately, they're trying to better equip parents to address some of the issues and be aware of some of the developmental stages that we know that if the parents aren't aware of that at an earlier age, then we end up seeing them. So I think, kind of and Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think this kind of falls under our preventative stages, because hopefully this will help address some of the things that are happening in school. In schools, it looks like, a lot of it is about trying to prepare parents for the toxicity, and they give a link to the book that they kind of reference in this session. I don't see a reason why we wouldn't support it.
No, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the hang up during the last meeting was just the price of bringing in the workshop, where it took up a majority of our budget, where it'd be the highest amount we've ever supported a speaker coming in, where I think the actual application of it is kind of what our mission of our group really is.
Okay, so we can put it to a vote if there's no more discussion on it. All those in favor of partnering with West Aurora to host a two-part parent equity workshop without financial contribution, please say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
So any opposed, please say nay. Okay, so that will pass, and I will let Julia know that. And so we're moving on to juvenile justice support of partner requests. And we can kind of start this now, but we may be a bigger discussion when we have more people here. One of the things that Julia had brought up is that we often have people who ask us, for the letters of support for their grants, or to partner with them, or ask for money. And in the past, Julia has just explained, it said yes or no, with no explanation. And so the question that we wanted to present to the board is if that's all we want to do, to tell these people, if it's no, we are not going to do it, or if as a council, we had any responsibility to maybe explain to them why we weren't doing it, if there were issues with their request, or maybe that they could change that would maybe get us on board to support them. So we wanted to just kind of start a conversation on that and see what the board's thoughts or feelings were on that.
If I may, in my opinion, I think if we are denying, we should give a reason why. I think there should be some minimal criteria as to why we would or would not give a letter of support. Is this an evidence-based practice? Have they, are they trauma informed? Are they, meeting the needs of the juveniles? Are they culturally responsive? Those type of things. And if for some reason we have a concern that they are not any of those, I would think that would be the basis into why we would say no. I think just giving a blanket no, or maybe it's just their program meets all those criteria. However, whenever people within our organizations refer, they never meet with the client or whatever the case may be. I think there should be a reason behind the no. And I think as an organization, we should be communicating that, because then potentially that would coach them to make improvements so that in the future, when they're seeking this grant funding, then they would then have our support, because they are attempting to meet the needs of the juveniles in Kane County.
And so just to, Julia had said, at different points that she had been told not to give an explanation. And I didn't know if I couldn't remember us ever addressing that as a board before. And so I just thought that we should put it out to the whole board, because I agree. I think that there is value in explaining why we are saying no, because as LaTanya said, I mean, it only would help that agency, which in the end would help the people that we are trying to help.
I think a general explanation is decent. There is going to be a lot of underlying times when the judiciary as a vote can't support something, and it really isn't because we don't want the board overall to do it, but as a judiciary, we won't be able to support something because of for whatever reason. And I wouldn't want to be that specific, the judges couldn't support it and therefore we couldn't pass it because we didn't have enough people. But in general, I don't disagree with some type of an explanation along what LaTanya was talking about.
So I will talk to Julia about it again and see, maybe we can come up with some sort of criteria that we're looking for in these requests and formalize that. So at the outset, the agencies would know what specifically we're looking for before we make our votes. Okay, anything else on that? All right, the mental health work group. So this, just as a reminder, this is a new work group that we have started as part of the Juvenile Justice Council, and they have scheduled their first meeting for June 28th at 12 o'clock. Julia extended an invitation to Michael from the health department, because the idea is we don't want to be duplicating services that they're already providing. So she thought it would be a good idea to bring him into the discussions as well. So if anyone is still interested in joining that group, it is June 28th at 12 p.m. And probably just let Julia know so she can send you the link. And then our final matter of business for today is we do have to set our meeting dates for fiscal year 2023. Just wanted to get an idea where we are in regards to how we want to do our meetings for next year. Are we still all in favor of virtual? Do we want to start meeting in person again? Just throwing that out there to look to see how we want to handle next year.
Well, I like virtual because we're all running around crazy, and to get, we always have meetings and stuff, and it just, I like it. I know other people like in person. I do like it just because I think it gets people here. Well, maybe not today, but typically.
I don't disagree. It's a lot easier for us to jump on, even if it's late, by Zoom than in person. Although I do like in person, so maybe we could do them once in a while in person. I don't know.
Right, that's true.
I would say maybe at least a couple times a year, and maybe do a lunch thing. We're kind of a working lunch. We're meeting and getting sandwiches or something. I know at the Juvenile Justice Council meeting we do. I know I always talk about food. I think it's really fun to get together. But you know what I mean? Once in a while, like I said, I mentioned before, maybe around the holidays or maybe a summer one or beginning of the fall, whatever. But I do agree. I think some in person I think would be value too, but not every time. So
yeah.
And just
is the ROE, I'll offer, like, we can host here twice a year. Maybe it'll be a good time to catch up networking. Maybe those extended meetings we could host in person. My other question is, if we do host in person, we still have to broadcast it live, correct? On like YouTube, like what we're doing now, or do we just have to have it where the public can attend?
Yeah, it just has to be an open meeting.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, and I did forget, Julia didn't make me a reminder here. The the proposed symposium or conference that we included in our budget for 2023, that will be in person. So that is at least one opportunity for everyone to get together and network. But she was just looking for ideas as to our preferences for the meeting. So I think this will give her a good idea of what everyone wants.
And maybe one of them do at the ROE, maybe another one maybe do on this campus, since the majority of the board members are right here, especially with Judge Karianis's courtroom coming over here as well. So, you know, we can always potentially use the JJC meeting room downstairs. I know before we were using the sheriff's office. So maybe one over on that end. And then just because court personnel, a lot of times you guys are running over, trying to get somewhere quickly, just to try to make it as conducive as possible for you guys that are in court.
Yeah.
Not that I don't like Josh's building. They've got beautiful building and awesome chairs and it's all of that. I'm not saying that, Josh. I'm just talking about access.
I'll have to entice you all with a good meal spread for that day.
Well, that's what Eric likes is the food. So
I'm in. I don't care where.
all right, well, I think that gives Julia a good starting point. So great. Okay, we do not have any new business today. Any other updates that anyone wants to include? Okay, then on your agenda, it does say the next date meetings are to be determined because those are a part of our, I'm sorry, if we could go back to the meetings, do Thursdays still work for everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure of that too. So that's why there is not a new meeting date yet, because she does have to formulate them all and publish them for our fiscal year. So that will be coming soon too. Okay, that's all we have. If we could have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
And a second.
Second.
All right, we're good. Oh, Eric, did you?
No, I was just seconding.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Two.
Thanks, Rochelle.